Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are putting a very specific lens on the present.
hmm
We are hitting the pause button on the far off future, the general AI singularity, all those utopian or dystopian scenarios 50 years from now.
Right.
And we are slamming the focus right down onto now, December 1st, 2025.
It's so necessary to do this. I mean,
Yeah.
we spend so much time talking about AI in these grand hypothetical terms.
Yeah.
But if you actually look at the news from just this past week,
Yeah.
we have concrete proof
Mm.
that AI isn't just a coming. It's fully embedded. It's actively changing how our everyday lives
It's
function.
like a present tense thing.
Exactly. It's a present tense technology.
So our source material for this deep dive is this wonderfully succinct AI news digest.
Yeah, it's great.
It's not a bunch of dense academic papers. It's more like a snapshot of what's happening now commercially and with big institutions. And we have 4 distinct, really powerful stories that when you line them up, just paint this unmissable picture of how fast everything is moving. We're talking about real-world products and services that exist today.
And our mission here is to move quickly, but thoroughly.
Hmm.
We're going to unpack these 4 developments from medicine to banking to creative writing and finally to how we learn.
Right.
Just to understand the immediate practical impact, this digest shows us that AI is now a scalable tool. It's already delivering real benefits and, well, at the same time, it's creating this next generation of challenges that affect you, the listener, in a very real way.
It's the practical side of it.
It's the practical application and the mechanism of adoption that we really need to dig into.
Okay, let's unpack this. The speed of change is it's immense.
Yeah.
And we're better to start than maybe the most crucial and personal area of all, our health.
Agreed. I mean, when you talk about high stakes, practical application, there's nothing more vital than extending a healthy life and, improving the quality of care in these completely overwhelmed systems.
So the core advancement in our source material is the successful pilot and then the rollout of a new AI tool, one that can predict heart disease with, and I'm quoting the digest here, remarkable accuracy.
That phrase, remarkable accuracy, that's a huge statement.
It is.
It implies a massive leap past the kind of traditional statistical models we've been using for decades.
It really does. I mean, think about what that suggests. Historically, predictive cardiology, it relied on these known but pretty blunt risk factors, right?
Right? Age, family history, smoking, blood pressure, cholesterol.
Yeah, basic stuff.
Functional but very static inputs. This new generation of AI tool, though, it goes far, far beyond those simple things.
Okay, so how far beyond? What exactly is this AI analyzing to get that remarkable accuracy? The source mentioned 2 main categories: patient medical history and then lifestyle factors.
Well, the medical history part alone it's just incredibly complex.
I can imagine.
You're talking about ingesting and trying to structure decades of totally fragmented data. Scanned paper records, old diagnostic images, medication lists, lab results, maybe genomic data if it's there.
That's a huge data harmonization problem right there.
It is, but then you add in the lifestyle component and the computational complexity just explodes.
Tell us more about that, because this feels like where the old model had huge blind spots, right? It was all based on what patients told you, which isn't always reliable.
Precisely. We are talking about massive, high-velocity data sets now. This means longitudinal monitoring from connected devices.
From wearables, you mean?
Yeah, from wearables, from APIs. So continuous heart rate variability, sleep quality monitoring, step counts, exercise consistency, even nutritional intake from like a food logging app or a smart scale. And then there's environmental and psychological data.
Wait, environmental data, what does that mean? Like air pollution where you live?
Absolutely. The models are sophisticated enough now to correlate, say, a patient's zip code with known metrics of chronic stress in that area, or particulate matter exposure, or even how close they are to preventative care.
Wow.
It's taking not just your individual physiology, but your entire context, your existence, and feeding that into the model. These things are looking for incredibly subtle patterns over time.
Like what kind of patterns?
Like maybe a tiny, sustained shift in your sleep consistency over 18 months that correlates with a very specific inflammatory marker going up. A pattern that no human doctor looking at one patient file could possibly see.
So it's merging this huge population-level data. We're talking maybe 10, 20 years of data from millions of different people with my real-time personal biometric data. And from that, it's finding these predictive markers that are basically invisible to standard tests.
That is the core of why it's superior. The AI spots correlations that suggest a high probability path toward heart disease long before you have symptoms.
Or even before your blood work looks bad.
Exactly.
Huh.
Long before the alarm bells would normally go off. And the AI doesn't, makes the final call. It offers a precise prediction, a risk score, to the medical team so they can make, quote, more informed decisions.
Okay, but how does that actually change the workflow for a doctor on the ground? It sounds like it adds a whole other layer of analysis to their job.
It actually shifts their primary role from being purely diagnostic and reactive, spending hours trying to figure out why a patient is already in crisis,
Right.
to being primarily strategic and preventative.
Hmm.
Instead of waiting for someone to show up with crushing chest pain, the doctor gets an alert about a high-risk profile months, maybe even years ahead of time.
Often when the patient still feels totally fine.
Asymptomatic, yeah.
And this capability, this is what enables true preventive medicine. That's what the source material is getting at when it says early detection is key.
It fundamentally changes the conversation in the exam room. The doctor can now sit down with a patient and say, look, based on a subtle change in your sleep patterns, your heart rate variability, and your recent cholesterol panel, our model suggests you have an X% higher probability of a cardiac event in the next 4 years.
Wow.
This isn't a diagnosis of a disease today, but it is a very strong signal of risk. And that allows for an immediate, proactive intervention.
That is the game changer. Moving from treating symptoms to just mitigating risk. Okay, but let's push back on this a bit. For this to work for everyone, it has to be accessible, right? Is this tool just going to widen the gap between the haves and the have-nots in healthcare?
That is a critical challenge, no question. The initial adoption is almost always in well-funded research hospitals where they have these clean, established data sets.
Sure.
However, the economic argument for making this widespread is so strong that it often pushes past that initial cost barrier pretty quickly.
How strong is that economic case? Let's talk about the outcomes and the efficiency.
The game changer aspect here is really twofold. It's better for the patient, and it's massively more efficient for the system.
Okay.
For the patient, proactive intervention, maybe an early low-dose medication or very specific lifestyle coaching, is infinitely safer and less invasive than managing a full-blown crisis. The AI helps patients sidestep the event entirely.
And for the healthcare system, I mean, we all know emergency cardiac care is one of the most expensive things a hospital does.
Exactly. The predictive algorithms lead to vastly more efficient clinical workflows. They optimize how you use your resources.
For example,
Well, if a pilot study shows that this algorithm reduced stage 3 cardiac events by, say, 18% in the group they monitored,
Yeah.
that is an immediate multi-million-dollar saving.
right, in surgeries, staff, long hospital stays.
You lighten the load on your most expensive emergency services, and you shift that care to lower-cost preventive tracks. Primary care doctors, dietitians, digital monitoring. It's a huge economic driver for adoption.
It takes this idea of wellness from a kind of vague goal to a data-driven, actionable plan. It makes healthcare much more personal because the advice is based on your specific risk profile, not just a generic average.
And that concept, that idea of personalized optimization, using intense data analysis to tailor a strategic output for an individual, that is the common thread running through all 4 of these stories we're diving into today.
That's a perfect transition. From the deeply personal world of our health, let's look at how AI is tailoring decisions in the, well, equally intense, high-stakes world of money.
The jump from physiological risk models to financial risk models is actually surprisingly direct.
Is it?
In both cases, the principle is identical. Massive, high-speed data ingestion that leads to a precise, tailored prediction and ultimately optimized resource allocation.
The core advancement here is a big deal because it shows institutional confidence. A leading global bank has announced a new AI-driven initiative to enhance its financial advisory services.
Yeah.
This isn't some small fintech startup, dipping its toe in the water. This is a major pillar of the financial system, moving machine learning right into its core customer-facing systems.
And that move, that's the market signal you have to pay attention to. When an institution with that level of regulatory burden and, frankly, reputational risk commits like this, it means the tech is stable, it's effective, and
what?
that the old generic model of financial advice is basically obsolete. They're leveraging these sophisticated machine learning algorithms to drive their advisory services.
So what's the ultimate goal here, beyond just offering, better advice?
The goal is to provide highly personalized investment advice that operates dynamically in real time.
Right. Traditional wealth management is built on inertia, isn't it?
Totally. You fill out a static risk questionnaire once a year, you pick aggressive growth or whatever, and the advice you get is pretty generalized. A few funds geared toward your age and what you said you wanted.
But this AI is designed to be hyper-specific and constantly recalibrating. The digest says the advice is tailored to two critical moving variables: individual customer needs and current market conditions.
And that combination of internal and external factors is the key to doing this at scale. I mean, a customer's needs are always changing.
Sure, life happens.
Life happens. Someone gets a big promotion, they buy a house, have a kid, face an unexpected medical bill. A human advisor might hear about that in a scheduled meeting 3 months later.
But an AI system, if it's linked to, say, your cash flow or spending habits, with your permission, of course, it can recalibrate those needs instantly.
Right. If a big unexpected expense hits your account, the AI doesn't wait for a meeting. It could immediately adjust your cash reserve allocation or maybe reduce volatility exposure in your portfolio.
And then linking that personal dynamic need to real-time market conditions, that's where the algorithm has the real edge over a human advisor.
No question. The market is volatile, it's global. The ML engine is constantly analyzing news feeds, economic reports, geopolitical shifts, micro trade volumes. It spots weaknesses or opportunities way faster than any human research team could.
So if the AI detects that, I don't know, an entire manufacturing sector is suddenly vulnerable because of a trade announcement in Asia.
It can proactively adjust a client's allocation away from that sector within minutes. That's what they mean by managing portfolios with heightened precision.
And precision in this context, it means two things for the bank, right?
It does. First, it's risk mitigation. When the advice is that precise and optimized, the bank minimizes the chance of big mistakes that lead to client losses, or even worse, lawsuits.
1 second.
Optimize resource allocation. The AI handles the high-volume data crunching and day-to-day recommendations for most of their clients.
Which frees up the expensive human advisors to focus on the really complex stuff.
Exactly. The non-algorithmic challenges, estate planning, international tax strategy, unique philanthropic ventures. The AI handles the routine, so the humans can handle the bespoke strategy. It's a massive efficiency boost.
But let's add a little friction here. You mentioned linking spending habits or cash flow to the system. I mean, that allows for incredible personalization, sure, but doesn't that raise some pretty big red flags around privacy and digital surveillance?
That is the defining tension right now in financial AI. The trade-off is precision for privacy.
Right.
The bank's argument is that this data is necessary to move from just offering advice to offering a continuously optimized, tailored solution. The customer then has to weigh their anxiety about that scrutiny against the potential benefit of better, safer, more timely returns.
So for the customer, what's the tangible benefit that makes that data exchange worth it, other than just maybe better returns?
The expectation is a much better experience and, frankly, improved efficiency. Imagine a client needs a quick, short-term loan. Instead of a week of paperwork and approvals, the AI, which has been monitoring the health of their portfolio, can basically pre-approve and issue that loan instantly at the best rate. It creates this dynamic, seamless, always-on financial ecosystem.
So we're contrasting the old model, the static quarterly review with broad lagging advice, with this new model, which is algorithm-driven personalization with dynamic, ongoing solutions.
A real-time GPS for your financial journey.
It just raises the baseline of what people will expect from financial guidance.
For sure. Soon, the expectation won't just be, I want good returns. It will be, I demand personalized, real-time optimization tailored precisely to my life right now and the market right now.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because now we're shifting from analyzing quantitative, objective, data medical facts, money, to something far more subjective, something, frankly, emotional, creative output.
This is the leap. From purely rational calculation to the simulation of creation. And it's probably the most philosophically charged part of the AI conversation today.
It really challenges our definition of art and authorship.
It does.
So the core advancement in the digest is the launch of a new AI platform that can generate high-quality articles and creative writing pieces. And the dual capability is what's really notable here. It can handle the objectivity of a professional article and the subjectivity of creative writing.
That distinction is so important. It speaks to how sophisticated these large language models, these LLMs, have become.
Right.
Generating a professional article, like a summary of a new regulation, that relies on good data aggregation, synthesizing facts, and keeping a consistent professional tone.
But creative writing, a chapter of a novel, a poem that requires pattern recognition in language, a grasp of emotional resonance, narrative structure, the ability to mimic or even invent a unique style.
And the fact that this platform is doing both well shows that these transformer architectures are mature now. They're not just predicting the next word anymore. They're accurately modeling high-level structural and stylistic intent based on the vast library of human literature they've been trained on.
The source does note that this AI is mainly designed as a writer's assistant to enhance productivity. Let's break down the specific functions that are meant to help human writers.
Okay, so the three main functions are brainstorming, drafting content, and editing existing work. And these don't just tweak the process, they really redefine a writer's entire workflow.
Okay, take brainstorming.
Staring at a blank page was this universal struggle, right? Now, a writer can just input a theme, a target audience, a couple of potential plot twists, and the AI instantly gives you back a dozen viable story arcs, character sketches, detailed outlines.
And drafting content. That means you can bypass that whole first draft syndrome.
Totally. The AI can generate that initial block of text really fast, which lets the human writer get straight to the refinement stage.
And the editing part goes way beyond just grammar, I assume.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about refining style, making sure the tone is right for a specific brand, improving the logical flow of an argument, even optimizing for SEO or reader retention. It's like having an instant, bespoke structural editor.
So it effectively transforms the human writer from the person doing the heavy lifting, the content generator, into the content editor and curator.
It becomes a collaboration. The machine handles the brute force of assembly, and the human adds nuance, context, and that final layer of subjective judgment. It's a huge productivity boost, especially in industries that need a lot of content.
But this is where we hit those intriguing questions the digest mentions. This is the philosophical crossroads.
It is.
The central tension is between that industrial scale productivity and genuine artistic integrity, what some people might call the soul. We can use AI to generate 100 high-quality articles an hour. That's incredibly productive. But what gets lost when we're talking about maintaining the human touch in art and literature?
Well, we have to ask whether the AI is truly generating something new, or if it's just performing a very, very sophisticated act of recombination.
And most evidence points to the latter, right?
Heavily. The AI learns from this vast but finite collection of human-created writing. It absorbs the patterns, the metaphors, the classic structures. It is, like you said, an unparalleled remixer.
A master of pastiche. It can adopt Hemingway's voice or Woolf's rhythm based on a simple prompt. So if the output mimics that emotional cadence perfectly, where does the spark of true, original human creativity even live?
Well, maybe creativity gets redefined. Maybe it's not in the output from the machine, but in the skill of the human who directs it.
The prompt engineer.
The prompt engineer. The writer who has the taste, the knowledge of craft, the intention to know exactly what inputs to use, what style to ask for, and how to edit that final piece to infuse it with a personal experience or a unique ethical insight that the machine, which has no lived experience, simply cannot possess.
So the human's role shifts entirely, from the struggling creator to the intentional director of the creative process.
And that has massive implications for professional writers. Will the market need as many mid-level staff writers who just draft content?
Probably not.
Probably not. The economic pressure will be to automate, but there will be this huge, urgent demand for highly skilled prompt engineers, for AI-assisted editors who specialize in humanizing the output, and for those top-level writers who can add that irreplaceable, unique human perspective.
It forces us to define what we really value in what we read. Is it just the quality of the final product, no matter where it came from, or is it the intentional, messy human process behind it?
And for the consumer, the challenge is then figuring out which of all this high-quality material actually carries genuine human intention and which is just optimized, synthesized content designed to get a click.
That fascinating debate over creativity leads us right into another area facing this massive transformation, one that's fundamentally about absorbing and synthesizing information at an individual pace. How we learn.
Education is. The field that's been most resistant to change over the centuries. But it's also the one that is most desperate for the kind of personalized optimization AI can offer.
The core advancement here is a big one. A major university has introduced an AI-powered tutor system.
Yeah.
And that institutional adoption, a major university putting its name on the line, that's a huge signal of trust in this technology as a legitimate teaching tool, not just some experiment.
It's a massive shift in philosophy. For centuries, education has been this high-ratio model.
Yeah.
One teacher talking to 20, 30, even 50 students at once.
A one-size-fits-all approach.
Yeah, exactly. And that inevitably leaves students behind, both the ones who are moving slower and the ones who could be moving faster.
And that's exactly what this new system is designed to fix. It's all about personalized learning experiences. Its core ability is to adapt dynamically to individual learning styles.
We all know students learn differently. Some are visual learners, they need diagrams. Others are auditory, they need to hear it. Some are kinetic, they need to do it. A human teacher just can't cater to 30 different styles at the same time.
But an AI tutor can. It can dynamically change its teaching approach in real time.
Right. If the system sees that a student is struggling with a concept presented as text, it might instantly shift to generating a 3D visual simulation of it, or a real-world analogy. It provides a customized output.
And this ability to offer customized resources and tailored feedback is how it actively bridges those educational gaps. The main goal, the digest says, is to bridge gaps in understanding.
Which is so important. If a student misses a key concept in week 3, a human teacher might not realize how bad the problem is until a test 5 weeks later.
By which point a small misunderstanding has snowballed into a huge knowledge gap.
Exactly. The AI tutor, though, it's monitoring every interaction, every response time, every error with nanosecond precision. It can pinpoint that one specific misunderstanding immediately. It doesn't wait for the test.
And then it can launch a targeted intervention.
Instantly, it can generate a mini lesson, an extra set of practice problems focused only on that one weakness, and deliver it in the student's best learning style while everyone else keeps moving forward.
This targeted intervention is where traditional teaching so often fails. The AI is basically a dedicated, infinitely patient, and perfectly informed tutor for every single student 24/7.
And we could even talk about the model behind it. It's often based on really sophisticated methods like Bayesian knowledge tracing.
Okay, break that down for us. What does Bayesian knowledge tracing mean here?
So Bayesian knowledge tracing, or BKT, it's a machine learning technique that models a student's mastery of a skill. Instead of just tracking right or wrong answers, the BKT model estimates the probability that a student knows a specific thing, like how to solve quadratic equations.
I see.
And it updates that probability with every single interaction. This lets the tutor decide exactly when to move on, when to drill down more, or when to just change the teaching style completely to make sure the student gets it.
That level of detail is incredible. So beyond just bridging knowledge gaps, how does this level of personalization affect student engagement?
It's designed specifically to enhance student engagement. I mean, when the content is relevant, when the difficulty is perfectly calibrated, not too hard, not too easy, students are just naturally more motivated.
They feel seen by the system.
They feel seen and understood, which encourages curiosity and active participation.
And the source notes that this technology promises to make learning more accessible and effective on a broader scale.
Accessibility is a huge one. High-quality, customized feedback can overcome geographic or economic barriers. A student in a remote area without access to specialized human tutors can now get a world-class, perfectly adapted teaching model. And effectiveness improves because the learning path is optimized for deep understanding, not just for cramming to pass a standardized test.
So to synthesize all that, the AI tutor gives immediate customized feedback based on a precise understanding of where each student is at. A human teacher juggling 30 kids just can't manage 30 individualized Bayesian models.
They can't. And this radically elevates the human teacher's role. They move from being the main source of information, a task the AI now does very efficiently, to being a critical thinking facilitator, a mentor, a coach who can focus on complex human skills like debate, collaboration, and ethical reasoning.
So it optimizes the whole learning ecosystem.
Exactly.
We've mapped the landscape of today's AI reality pretty thoroughly. We've seen these 4 distinct, powerful forces at work changing our lives right now.
It's been an incredible snapshot. We looked at healthcare, where AI is offering this remarkable accuracy in predicting heart disease, driving this huge shift toward preventive medicine.
And then we hit finance, where a major global bank is using machine learning for heightened precision in portfolio management, providing personalized dynamic advice based on your real-time needs.
Then we jumped into creativity, seeing how AI platforms are helping writers brainstorm, draft, and edit, which forces us to ask these really deep questions about the human touch and what authorship even means now.
And finally, education, where a major university's AI tutor is using advanced models to adapt to individual learning styles, bridging knowledge gaps, and boosting engagement.
And the common thread, the powerful theme across all of these sectors, is undeniably personalized optimization.
Yeah.
Whether it's optimized health prediction, optimized wealth management, optimized creative workflow, or optimized learning AI is performing this task of intense, specific tailoring at a scale and speed that was just impossible before.
It really is the defining theme of this era of AI. The age of one-size-fits-all solutions is closing fast. It's being replaced by this immediate expectation that the systems we use should know us, adapt to us, and serve our unique profile better than any standardized process ever could.
Which brings us to that final provocative thought, building on the source's mention of new possibilities and challenges.
Right.
If AI is already this effective at adapting to our individual needs, our medical profiles, our financial goals, our learning styles, what is the future role or even the viability of standardized non-AI processes in any of these fields?
That's the core challenge, isn't it? If a system exists that can analyze my entire life's data to predict my heart risk with remarkable accuracy, will I still trust a doctor who's just relying on a generic questionnaire?
And if an AI tutor can optimize my kid's learning path in real time, is a traditional fixed curriculum still a justifiable use of time and money? What level of hyper-personalization is about to become the absolute minimum we expect as users?
We're past the point of asking if AI is good or bad.
We are. Now the question is, how quickly will tailored optimization become the standard in every single interaction, making anything less feel profoundly insufficient?
It forces us to actively think about where we encounter or where we should encounter personalized AI in our own lives next. The shift isn't coming. It's the dominant force shaping December 2025.
Stay curious, stay informed, and keep asking those tough questions about what you expect from the technology that is already defining your world.
Thank you for tuning into this deep dive into the present reality of AI. We'll catch you next time.